Okay, here's exactly what they did, right? What's a household?
Ooh.
Billionaires have houses. We save them money. Divide the money we save them by all the houses. Boom! We saved on average $11,000 per American household. The people that didn't get any fucking savings, I saved the billionaires a bunch, and I'm gonna distribute it evenly amongst everybody in my promotional materials. You know that's what fucking did here, right?
The math ain't math.
What's a worker? What's a household? What are fucking words? They're just words. They don't mean anything.
So I tell you what, many years ago when I used to work for McDonald's and I had people that worked for me, and part of our conversation was how to improve operations or sales. And we were very oriented on goals, right?
We would say you were goal oriented.
We were very goal oriented. And a lot of times I would have to teach people how to really plan. Okay. So here's an example. Hey, so what are you going to do to improve sales? I'm going to fix my drive-through. Yeah. How? Well, I'm going to start watching it more. And these are people would actually say these words to me.
These were real responses to the inquiry of how are you going to increase sales?
Yes. Yeah. Well, how are you going to do it? You know, what does that mean? And it's not to make fun of people. A lot of times that's a learned skill. And
is it kind of like when I have a conversation with my 10-year-old about her needing to take more responsibility for her own actions and things like that? And she said, you know, so she sets her goal for the week is to take more responsibility. And I said, well, how are you going to do that? And she said, by taking responsibility.
Yes.
And then I had to go through the whole, like, you can't define a thing by using the thing to define it. Like,
right. And I always tell people a goal is like making a cake, right? If at the end of the process you want a cake, you have to have the right ingredients. And if you have a recipe, it makes it a little bit easier, so you don't have to start from scratch. That's what a goal is. It's the what do you see in the future? How are you going to get there? And are you committed to the steps to follow it? If you make a cake and decide that I'm not going to use eggs, I'm going to use turnips, well, good luck. That's the ingredient you decide to change. And I say all that to say this. I get a headache beyond belief listening to Republicans talk about, well, we should talk about policy. And, you know, our platform is strong and we should talk about policy. Our platform is strong. Okay. So I did some digging. And lo and behold, I found the GOP's 2024 platform.
I just want to say, this is the most excited I think I've ever seen you at the beginning of a podcast episode. You are downright giddy, sir.
It's amazing. When you can shoot things down with facts. Let me. All right. I said some time ago that I understand why certain people believe what they believe. I don't knock them for that. What I struggle with is when you present them with facts, they recoil to defense. And they're trying to defend the indefensible. They may not be fully aware of what they're talking about. And it frustrates the conversation. They get agitated because they feel like they're getting backed into a corner. And I try not to, browbeat people with, I don't know, facts, because that's mean. Case in point, the Trump tax cuts. That bill was stalled before Trump came into office. And it was really Paul Ryan's tax cuts that were introduced. My biggest gripe with those tax cuts was they avoided adjusting the corporate tax rate limit. Because I believe that at some level, not all the time, if you give companies an incentive to stick around as opposed to pushing them out, you're not where we are today.
Right. Instead, it was just like at the end user level for billionaires
Right.
and multimillionaires.
Right. And the fact that a lot of people don't know the context of those tax cuts that Trump takes credit for annoys me. And it's just infuriating. But anyway, I digress.
Which, can we also just say that's like literally one of the only quote unquote accomplishments that you can really point to from his. I mean, because we talked about it on the last podcast.
We can't. I'm not giving him that.
No. But I'm saying that, like, most of the time when people are asked what good things did he do, that's what they point to. And to your point, it wasn't even his idea. That was something that was already in place, that with the new majority, they were able to then push it through.
And it didn't help anybody in the middle class.
No, it was just, it was exacerbating the idea of like the trickle down Reaganomics.
Yeah. And I'm not late to the party, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying, like, for the love of God, at least be able to support your said opinion or facts, whatever it is. Because if you can like rip it apart and you just have a t-shirt, it's really sad. It's just, I've gotten to a point where when people
I'm wearing a t-shirt, what's wrong?
People really try to, like, I don't know, even like, it's just really bad. I just can't, I don't get it. But I say that to say this.
Say it.
Dude, the 2024 platform is garbage. And we're going to go through it one by one and then tell me not just the what, if it makes sense, but how are they going to do it? And we're going to start with number one. And in true Republican fashion, it's in all caps.
I'm just imagining Donald Trump, like reviewing this and being like, put it in all caps. I want it in all caps. The list must be in all caps.
It makes it very difficult to read.
It does. It doesn't have enough exclamation points and misspellings for it to actually be him. But it's they're still trying to emulate. For those people that do find, for the GOP supporters that find this online, they're like, well, obviously Donald Trump wrote this. It's in all caps.
Yeah, I doubt he sat in on any of the brainstorming sessions on this. But number one, seal the border and stop the migrant invasion.
Thank God, finally somebody's going to do something. Wait, didn't he say he was going to do that the first time?
I think he did.
He built a wall. Why has he got to build more or do anything? Didn't he fix it the first time?
He did. Because Make America Great Again.
So he fixed it, but then the Biden administration
destroyed it. They destroyed the whole thing.
Yeah. And they just let anybody in that wanted in. And they haven't tried to do anything to fix it.
What's amazing to me, just the idea of seal the border doesn't make any sense.
No, you can't do that. I mean, you have the whole interstate and country commerce that needs to go on. Where are we going to get our fruits and vegetables?
I'm just saying, man, seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. I can't imagine, like, he must have done it half-assed the first time.
I will say that I think it is, and I'm curious, just real quick, to get your take on this. Did the Biden administration and Democrats wait too long, do you think, to try and do anything about the border? I mean, they kind of waited until this year, right?
I think that the border's been a problem since, like, Bush.
Yeah.
And immigration's been a problem since Bush. Mm-hmm. And nobody's done anything about it.
Yeah, I guess
I don't even agree with, like, the executive order. And here's my knock on the executive order. I think if you're leading by executive order, you're probably missing something.
But, well, I agree. But don't you also think that there was a at least a serious attempt to lead by legislation.
Yes.
through-
Okay. I'm glad you got there, because that's the thing that the Supreme Court always.
You're welcome.
Well, that's the thing the Supreme Court always kicks back when they
Yeah.
kill something.
Right.
Congress should do this. Congress
That's
should
what
do
they're
this.
talking about with the student loan debt, right?
Right.
Is it's like, this isn't within your purview. This is not something that you should be signing executive orders to implement. If you want to do this, this needs to go through Congress. And I'm glad that there are, because that should be a thing, right? There should be that checks and balances.
Well, I don't really trust the Supreme Court.
Well, and that's where I was just going to get. It's there's checks and balances in this scenario, but not.
And I think that's the thing where it's like, I'm glad there's an effort. I don't like how the effort's being, like, this executive order is not being touched by the Supreme Court because whatever.
Well,
right?
so I guess in my mind, I'm just wondering, because to me, it seemed like they waited until election year to try and pass the legislation, right?
Sure.
And I don't know, should they have started it earlier? Then again, if I'm being honest, I have no idea how long they were actually working on that bill.
Right. So
maybe
it's for us not to, I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
We know it got killed because of whatever. But, you know, we also
know that Kamala said that if elected, she would, given the opportunity, she would sign that bill.
Yep.
So
there's
there's a policy issue.
Oh, man.
And her stance on it. Look at that.
So there's a what?
Would Trump sign that same bill if it came to him?
I don't think it would get to him. I think the Democrats would screw him on that.
Yeah.
But there's an issue. There's a what. But we had to come up with a how for you, GOP. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Number 2, carry out the largest deportation operation in American history.
That's right, all of you crazy right-wing nut jobs. You were getting the fuck out of here. We're sending you to Australia. That's what we used to do with all of our fucking loonies.
Criminals. What does that even mean? So you're just
sorry, Australia. You don't deserve that.
Door to door and do what?
Yeah, stop and frisk and show me your papers.
Then we already had internment camps, and that
those papers don't look legit. You're gonna have to come with me. What papers? We never saw any papers when we picked them up. You're too brown to have papers.
I'm just saying, what are we doing? Is that
so the idea, right, is that what they're claiming is that they know who all of these illegal immigrants are, who have like overstayed their visas and things like that, and that they're just going to go round them up. What's funny is that the majority of the people who are those types of illegal immigrants
are European.
Are not the kinds of immigrants that people are thinking of.
So,
and look, there are legal ways to get into this country, and if you're here on visa or something like that, or a green card, you should do what you need to do in order to remain here legally. If you are seeking asylum into this country because you're fleeing a horrible, can we pause for a moment? I've heard now multiple people finally recognize that Donald Trump thinks that countries are emptying their asylums because these people are seeking asylum. And that's just, that has to be it. Right? There's no way that he comes up with that on his own. He had to that's a great, why are they seeking asylums here if they have them there? Just let them stay there in their asylums.
When I first heard him say that, I was like, "Yo, this guy's stupid."
He's not very smart.
He's an idiot. So I don't like, that's not I don't think that should be part of that's not a policy.
Well, and I mean, is this just like we're going for the Guinness Book of World Records? Like, we are going to carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. If we can round up over 1 million illegal immigrants in the next 48 hours, ICE is going to send them over the border in catapults.
What are we doing?
Most of them aren't even going back to Mexico, but we assume that's where they're from, so that's where we're sending them.
That's
literally what these people envision, right? Like the people who support this stuff. I feel like they have it in their mind that we're going to go find all of the illegal Mexican immigrants because they're all Mexicans. Then we're just going to push them across the border and we're going to lock the border up. Then we're going to say, you can't come back. We know who you are. And then like, what is this?
Hey, we've only gotten to number 2.
I know. And I'm already in.
And we haven't even gone to Project 2025. That's 906 pages of crazy.
Yeah.
Number 3, end inflation and make America affordable again.
Ma.
I don't even know what he's talking about. He doesn't know how.
We have to end inflation.
No, he doesn't know how the economy works.
Well, he does, right? Because Tic Tacs come in this size package, and they also come in a smaller package.
But that's what happened. This is inflation. This is Tic Tac. This is Tic Tac. This is inflation. This is what's happened.
That's
He's just
inflation, people.
Show up and end inflation. So. Yeah. Does that mean that he's going to take he's going to take control of the Federal Reserve?
Yep. And he's going to slash interest rates. And then he's going to borrow some from the Federal Reserve for the new Trump casino he's going to build in Washington, D.C. using federal funds. I don't know. I mean, like, first off, we've already seen now, proof after proof after proof that the majority of inflation is caused by greed, right?
Yeah.
And that it's basically corporations saying, oh, people were willing to pay these prices during COVID when the supply chain hit and they really wanted this stuff. So let's see how long they're willing to continue paying these prices.
Right.
And it turns out it's about 4 years.
I've mentioned multiple times how Canada brought their 3 largest grocers to their parliament.
Hey, stop fucking around. And they're like, we're sorry. And Kamala Harris is like, I want to end price gouging. And they're like, you commie bitch. Like, well, what the
fuck? Well, there are 34 states, North Carolina included, that have anti-gouging laws in the books. During hurricanes in North Carolina, you'll always hear that Governor Cooper has put, or whatever governor happens to be in office, say that those laws are enacted. So imagine paying $4 for a pack of batteries and now they're $15.
But why aren't those laws enacted all the time?
That's a good question.
Right?
Now, my argument would be, why don't states do this so the federal government doesn't have to get involved?
Yes.
Right? If you already have it on the books in a state of emergency, why not in normal time?
Yep.
Right?
But there are ways that you can influence that at the federal level through...
But you shouldn't have to.
Well, you shouldn't have to, but if you've got states that aren't willing to help out their...
Sure. But then you get, all right, the danger, well, not the danger, the risk there is the same risk that you have with a national or federal minimum wage, right?
Yeah.
Where you get into this tick for tack and companies they'll say the floor is the federal minimum wage.
Right.
That's where I kind of think states should be more respondent to their citizens as opposed to letting the federal government get involved. Because sometimes the federal government it becomes an obstacle or a barrier to actual market needs and demands.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I understand. And I do generally agree that ideally things should happen at the state level, right? But But I think we also know that there are times where some pressure from the federal level helps to kind of bring everybody on board in the end, at least begrudgingly. I don't know. I think of it kind of like the highway funds, right? Federal highway dollars, which basically says like you got to make the legal drinking age 21. And that's how you basically get this funding. And that through little kind of things like that, maybe there are ways that we can kind of say,
well, I personally,
Iowa,
I don't like
Idaho,
I don't like the
Indiana.
legal drinking age being at 21, because if you can enlist into the military at 18, you should be able to drink.
Oh, I agree. I'm not saying that I like it at 21. I'm just using that as an example of where the federal government used federal funding to kind of get states to do what they wanted them to do. But
to be fair, I don't like that. I just want to go on the record saying that because I know even if you're enlisted in your own base, you can drink at on post or base or wherever your station or your naval station. And I think that shows the stupidity of that one law. But I understand what you're saying. That's just one of my least favorite.
Makes sense.
Regulations.
You're welcome for bringing that up.
Yeah. Number 4, make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far.
Yeah, suck it, Biden. We're going to drill, baby, drill. Wait, what do you mean we've produced more oil in the last 4 years than we did in the previous 4 years?
Right? What do you mean that we have a number of oil producers in this country that are sitting on leases they will not activate?
Well, those leases are no good. That's why they don't activate them. If there was oil there, they'd activate them for sure. It's not so that they can manipulate the price of oil and maximize the value.
They wouldn't do that?
No, just like the U.S. wouldn't secretly, not even that secretly, openly stockpile reserves of crude oil that it plans to then leverage against every other country when they all use up all of their oil. Like, we're just going to keep buying this shit from Saudi Arabia, and when they run out, we'll be like, oh, guess whose turn it is now, motherfuckers? You want to drive your cars in the sand? Come fucking buy some shit. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess he's gonna go. What, like, how many windmills did he tear down while he was president? I don't know,
but he keeps talking about
the poor whales.
Whales. What are we talking about?
What? I mean, I don't know how often you're out in windmill country. First off, I always thought windmill, like as a kid growing up in Northern California, when we would make the trek down south to go to like Disneyland and stuff like that, we'd always drive through windmill country. And I always thought it was really cool to see these windmills. Impressive. Like, it's a really cool thing. Second, how fast do those things spin?
Not very fast.
Fast enough. Like, he thinks they're like a freaking plane propeller. I don't think he's ever seen one in motion.
I don't think I think he's an idiot.
Well, he is an idiot.
Like, I'm just going to conclude that he's stupid. He's beyond stupid.
But seriously, like, he's like, oh, just you want to go see a dead bird graveyard? I'll show you one. It's like, okay, first off, you are obsessed with dead birds. You gotta get over this. And no, I don't want to see a dead bird grave. He's like that weird kid in school who's like, you want to see a dead bird graveyard? I know where there's one. It's under one of those windmills.
He's like the chunky kid from Goonies.
He is. He's just like, I just see a dead body.
I just think it's stupid. It's like, and how? Like, how?
Again, yeah, right. There's obviously a lot lacking in the how the actual plan for how they're going to achieve these.
And
things,
what's not even clear, because what's already being achieved right now. So, all right. I mean, sure. Okay. Number 5. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. We've done that, idiot.
More manufacturing jobs created during Joe Biden's administration than during Donald Trump's.
I mean,
and in fact, my understanding is that Joe Biden's administration has helped to do significantly more for manufacturing jobs than the guy who showed up at the non-union automotive plant.
What are we doing?
To talk about how much he supports union.
It's amazing. But we're only sticking to policies, ladies and gentlemen.
Their
Like,
policies. To be
It's
fair.
easy, yeah, and it's easy to like crap all over the GOP because they make it easy. But we're gonna
Again, it's in all caps.
It's
Every time I look back at it, I'm just like, it's shouting at me from the page.
I'm
Why are
reading-
they screaming this in my face?
I'm reading in Donald Trump's voices in my head, and I'm like, God, you're
Which
annoying.
is just the most disturbing thing to have to deal with. But
And then on top of that, it's the what's not very clear, and it's already being done. It's another one.
Yep.
But are we going to ever? One of our problems as a country is we haven't pivoted to newer technologies, the next thing, and we continue to live in the past. As everybody else seems to figure out, we have to move forward. We have to figure out a way to, like, build
bring
things.
back coal.
What are we talking about?
Don't you know, Andre, coal-powered vehicles are the future. You're not going to have to stop at some dirty, smelly gas station. You're going to be able to swing by the coal store on your way home, grab a nice big chunk of black solid coal,
I don't want
that into.
I don't want to live in that world, man.
No,
I
it's
just
fucking.
I refuse.
Nobody's gonna live in that world. So like.
He's an idiot.
No, we're gonna bring coal back. We're gonna bring automotive manufacturing. It's still here. I mean, not as much as
Kind
it was,
of,
right? But
but-
like, yeah. What other manufacturing?
I mean, but here's the pivot I would make. What if we made the components that are the? What if we lose the manufacturing race of vehicles to South Korea, right? But what if we make the components that they need for the vehicles? What if we lose to Toyota?
Sure.
What if we figure out ways to like pivot? And I hope we don't, but we are conceding that capacity every year.
Don't you think that to some degree there will always be some amount of automotive manufacturing in the U.S. just because of the volume that is consumed here?
I don't know. I'm starting to become very skeptical of that.
Interesting. Okay.
Because we gave up on sedans and everything's got to be an SUV. And I don't think people really want, and that's actually only driven up the cost of vehicles. I don't think people really want SUVs all the time.
No.
So the market is not asking for a $50,000 car. The average new car is right around $43,000.
Everybody wants a crossover.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, everybody loves a station wagon looking motherfucker. Give me a hatchback.
And I wouldn't mind a car. Like I'm looking and considering a truck or a car. Well, there's no American cars. Like and Stellantis isn't even American. So there's that.
You can buy a Cadillac.
Actually, I saw a CTS today that looked pretty damn nice.
The ATS. That's
R8 was the ATS or CTS?
I think the ATS is the 4-door, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, the CTS is the coupe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw one. I was like, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
But just saying,
Yeah.
we're just sticking to policy. We're not making fun of any weird couch fetishes that people may have, or
No, we haven't even brought that up once. So
nope. Let's see. What's the other one? But let's go ahead and stop outsourcing.
oh, okay.
That's part of number 5.
It
What
was,
are you
yeah.
talking about? Stop outsourcing. We're driving away. We're doing two things very wrong. We're driving away like producing, and it's not just about manufacturing. Producing stateside because of our tax structure. Our tax structure is sorely unfair to people that make less than like $300,000 a year.
Right.
Like,
Which is going to be the majority of your manufacturing laborers.
right.
Shockingly, I know.
So I don't know. Stop outsourcing what? There's some things we probably want to outsource. We don't have lithium in the United States that I'm aware of. Enough to enough to fuel an industry. Nor do we want the hit that it does to the environment.
Yeah, I think like that's the bigger question, because my understanding is that they believe they've discovered a pretty huge lithium deposit somewhere up in like the Portland or Oregon area. But yeah, it's just like fracking and, strip mining of any kind.
Right.
Like you're destroying natural resources to get to natural resources, and what are you leaving behind when you're done with all of that, right? Like that's...
one industry we could probably kill, and I think people would be okay? The oil industry.
Restaurant. Oh, oil.
Yeah.
I thought for sure you were going to say restaurants.
I wanted to. That was in the top tier. I'm not going to lie. But the oil industry, I know there's a guy or a company in California that's working on solar cells that are built into the frame of the vehicle.
Oh, interesting.
When we get to that point, that's going to be dope. Yeah. Right? Because electric, we don't have the infrastructure. Like we just...
Right. I mean, and the idea of, I'm doing this long haul. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think there's a couple of things that if we provided better, say, like train transportation between major cities in our country,
right,
you wouldn't need vehicles that have to go thousands of miles in a single trip, right? Like if you provided better ways for people to get around on mass transit, then you'd have less of a need for these long distance vehicles. So now, a 300 mile, 400 mile charge, and then I can go home and plug it in for the night. Okay, great. But if I'm doing this long haul stuff and I'm having to sit even at a supercharger for 30, 45 minutes waiting for my car to charge up so I can drive off, and then you got the line of people, that I've never experienced myself because I've never had to drive one. Because every time I get to a rental place, they're like, you can have an EV. And I'm like, that scares the fuck out of me because I don't know where I'm going to find a charging station or if it's going to work with my car or how the hell that even works. So that just seems like way more trouble than is worth to me in this specific moment where I'm on a business trip and trying to make sure that I can get from point A to point B. But
just saying, we could totally kill the fuel industry.
Yeah.
It could die a slow death.
What would you do with all of those poor workers, though, Andre?
I would make sure that we pivot. Like that's the thing that we don't do well. We don't pivot. We watch the thing come and we let it hit us. But I think companies should be responsible enough to make sure that a well-trained workforce in for the life of your company, it's a good investment. It's just me thinking out loud. Number 6, large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips.
That's a weird way to spell wealthy.
It is. The good thing about this being in all caps, I don't need my glasses.
That is good. So yeah, large tax cuts for workers. Which who's a worker, right? Well, what's a black job? Any job that a person can have. So is a worker anybody that can do work? As the former CEO of a company who now rests in his billion-dollar mansion with my billions of dollars sitting in
I used to work
offshore accounts. I used to work, and technically I could still work. So I am a worker, and I will gladly enjoy this 20% tax cut you're going to give me, Donald Trump. I don't know. I mean, maybe he's going to actually cut taxes for middle class, but I wouldn't know that because he's never talked about it.
Well,
I've never seen it.
We're only talking policy.
Right. I've never seen him talk about or share a plan in which he actually shows economically how he's going to...
Chris, stop.
What?
We're talking policy right now.
That's what I'm talking. Wait, am I not allowed to talk? Oh.
No, we're talking policy right now, and you're right. It's the what's not clearly defined, and there's definitely no how.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch drive-through. I'm going to focus on drive-through. You're going to watch it? You're going to look at the drive-through window? I need you to tell me what actions. How many people do you need to hire? How much do we need to budget for training? These are real questions.
I do just want to point out, we are reading the top 20 list that's towards, I don't know, the top third of the page. You scroll down a little further below the table of contents. It does get into supposedly the how. I haven't actually read any of this yet, but there are more words that might make some. So like under.
All right. No. Here we go.
Yeah.
Unleash American energy.
This is under defeat inflation and quickly bring down all prices. This is their plan. They're going to unleash American energy.
Rein in wasteful federal spending. Right. Cut costly and burdensome regulations. Right. And those are just three. Stop.
To be clear, the rein in wasteful federal spending, they're going to do that. Republicans will immediately stabilize immediately. The day that Donald Trump is inaugurated, the economy will be stabilized because they will begin slashing wasteful government spending and promoting economic growth. Unlike the Democrats, who are promoting wasteful government spending and slashing economic growth.
So does that mean he's going to claw back that tax cut that costs us, I think, right around $3.2 trillion?
No, because if you want to make money, you got to spend money. And so we got to spend more money by giving another tax cut to that same group that got it last time, because obviously we didn't give them enough. That's why we went through that period in COVID. If we had doubled that tax cut for the super wealthy, who knows where this country would be right now?
Oh, yeah. So cutting costly and burdensome regulations. Republicans will reinstate President Trump's deregulation policies, which saved Americans $11,000 per household. I didn't save $11,000. The fuck is he talking about?
You don't remember that?
No. And in Democrats' regulatory onslaught that disproportionately harms low and middle income households. You know what harms low and middle income households? Our fucking tax code. It has, like, until you talk to me about like redoing the tax code and cutting out the loopholes, we're not talking. I didn't save when Trump was in office. I didn't save $11,000. I don't know what he's talking about.
It also doesn't state over what period that was saved. Like, was that $11,000 a year?
Over 4 years?
A cumulative amount that he's saved. Most likely. Okay, here's exactly what they did, right? What's a household?
Ooh.
Billionaires have houses. We save them money. Divide the money we saved them by all the houses. Boom! We saved on average $11,000 per American household. Fuck the people that didn't get any fucking savings. I saved the billionaires a bunch, and I'm going to distribute it evenly amongst everybody in my promotional materials. You know that's what they fucking did here, right?
The math ain't mathing.
What's a worker? What's a household? What is fucking words? They're just words. They don't mean anything.
So let's go number 7, because that number 6 is just more like crap. Defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedoms of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. What?
Yes. Yep.
What?
Remember when Joe Biden came for our guns?
No. Did that happen?
It did, yep.
I missed it.
He personally came to my house and knocked on my door, and he said, "Sir, can I have your guns?" And I said, "President Biden, I don't have any guns." And he said, "Okay."
Next.
No, actually, that never happened. I made that up. I know that seemed very
This guy talks
real,
about our Constitution, and I think he's probably...
Which he would literally wipe his ass with, given the opportunity.
You're kidding me, right? Like, Mr. I want to overturn an election.
It was probably in one of the boxes in the bathroom that he almost wiped his ass with the Constitution at one point in Mar-a-Lago.
Freedom of religion, unless you're Muslim.
Well, no, freedom of religion, meaning freedom of the Christian evangelical religion to enforce its will upon all others.
Oh.
You just have to, they always They cut that little part out.
It's kind of like when they say Americans, they mean like just the people that support their agenda.
Well, and the people that look like them.
And patriots. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Next, that's nothing. Big old nothing burger. Number 8. Prevent World War III. Restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East.
Remember when we had peace in the Middle East under
I can't
Donald
even get
Trump?
through this one, man. Because it's so funny. This is so stupid. All right. Because
Donald Trump secured peace in the Middle East when he recognized what was it?
that he can get all that money for Jared from Saudi Arabia. Okay, prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East, and
Well,
build
remember,
hold on,
yeah, sorry.
and build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country, all made in America.
Do we need that?
He's looking at Israel going, yeah, that's kind of cool.
Right. I mean, he's obviously like just sitting up late at night watching YouTube videos of like Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system. But seriously, like, when's the last time anybody fired a missile at the United States?
It's
And not saying that like we should just never be prepared for it, but I think there's a good reason for that, right?
Yeah, because it doesn't end well.
Yeah.
It's like, who wants that smoke?
And like, I mean, again, like, who do we have? Like, Canada, Mexico. Like, we're gonna go to war with Mexico. I mean, fuck. To be fair, if Trump gets elected, it won't be World War III. It'll be the last World War, and it'll be everybody against the United States. And so we will have to build an Iron Dome defense system to protect ourselves from our former allies in Canada and Mexico, who are now bombarding us on a daily basis.
It'll be created like Infrastructure Week and the repeal and replace of the Affordable Care Act. In 2
weeks?
Let's not fool ourselves.
Well, not only that, but it's all going to be apparently made in America.
Okay. Number 9, because this one's not as funny as that one, but it's just as dumb. In the weaponization of government against the American people.
I disagree. This is just as fun as the last one. I mean, there's only two groups of people that I can really think of that you could say that no, I take it back. You can't even say that the Justice Department. No, and that's what I was just going to say. You can't even say that that it's been weaponized, but that there are two groups of people who have been on the receiving end of the Justice Department's, I don't know, justice, I guess, right? That's what they should be doling out. And that's the January 6th rioters and Donald Trump himself. I guess no, that's not entirely true. They went after some of his co-conspirators as well.
Yeah,
but, like that's it. Like Donald Trump and the people who tried to help him overthrow the election. Like that's it. Those are the two groups that.
What world are they living in, dude?
Oh no! Wait, that's right. The right-wing moms and shit at school board meetings who were threatening
Moms of Liberty.
Yeah, well, not just Moms of Liberty, but this was this whole thing like 2 or 3 years ago where they were going for all the school boards. It's like, the FBI is investigating right-wing extreme, mothers.
They're calling us domestic terrorists.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Oh,
it's like, God. You guys are literally threatening fucking people.
Well, I don't. What when I see a Trump commercial, I'm like, why are you so weird?
My dad was cracking up because when I was over at his house earlier and they just had the news on and one of the Trump commercials came on, but it was all Kamala Harris and she was debating herself where she was talking about like inflation, but then Bidenomics is working and everything. And
It's
my
such
dad
a
was
weak
just
commercial.
Like, it is. He's like, I really don't think putting her face all over the place is helping him at all. And I don't know. I feel like he has shared this openly before, so I'm going to take a gamble that he won't mind me sharing this. My dad voted for Donald Trump in 2016. And he explained, he was like, I hated Hillary, you know, and not hated, but he was like, I just did not like Hillary. I didn't want the Clintons to be back in the White House. And, you know, I thought that Donald Trump was going to be this like outsider who was going to change things and make it, you know, like do things differently that might actually make a difference in Washington. And he's like, but man, what a mistake that was. And I do think that there's a good number of people who were like that in 2016. Like we talked about last week, that he got lucky in that election. And it was because it was a combination of people like that, the 7% that he dragged out of, you know, nowhere, and the complete turnoff that was Hillary Clinton for I mean, you had all the Bernie shit that people didn't like with Hillary. You had all the Clinton baggage, all of that. And then if you happened to be some sort of undecided voter going into the emails, you know, stuff with Comey, like, which did you see that he apparently is endorsing Kamala Harris?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, yo, nobody wants to
be like, too fucking late, motherfucker. You had your chance. You fucked us once. We're not going to let you do it again. Get your own vote. No.
So fine. That one, number 9, week 2. Number 10. Stop the migrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels, crush gang violence, and lock up violent offenders.
If it's happening in one state, it's happening in every state.
Jesus Christ. Can we stop pretending like the federal government is the be all that ends all?
Well, yes, we can. I would like to. I'm on board with you that is what we should be doing here, because we put so much expectation on the federal government, not our governors, our state legislators, our local officials. We get mad at them when we read the shit in the newspaper that they do, right? But we don't actually like try to hold them accountable. We still turn around and vote for a lot of them again.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
like,
a lot of the same.
Like, I didn't vote for Pat McCrory. I thought it's like, he's
fuck that guy.
So,
what a dipshit.
So God. It's like, but I do talk to the mayor of my town, and it's like, how is for this to be a thing, you're going to invade Colombia, Mexico, Peru.
Let's start with stop the migrant crime epidemic.
But I thought he did that at number 1, closing the border.
Well, that would,
right? So if you close the border, bam, done. Move on, homie.
Oh, at number 2, where they're carrying out the largest deportation operation in American history. So they've already gotten rid of the migrant crime. Maybe these are the legal migrants that come here just to commit crime.
Oh, because he didn't call them immigrants.
Right.
Okay. Actually, that doesn't make sense.
No, it makes no sense. No. Then demolish the foreign drug cartels. Okay. So you're sending the CIA back into South America.
We've done that.
Central America. Look, that was the past.
We've done that.
This is going to be totally different, Andre. Hey, not going to get high on their own supply.
Man, he's not going to El Salvador.
They're going to crush gang violence. I don't know how, but they're going to.
So we're going to federalize every crime in the United States, is what he's saying.
Yes, it will be a felony if you commit any act of violence.
Well, that's kind of sounds like
go to jail.
Handmaid's Tale type of shit.
You overcook chicken? Jail.
Yeah, you
undercooked chicken? Jail.
There's a lot going on here, but we just got to number 10. And he
halfway there.
He half-assed 1 and 2. He's going to clean it up on number 10.
Yep.
And everything's a felony.
Yeah. He's going to, but number 11 here, we're finally getting into some positive things. We've done all the negative, right?
But we're just talking about policy. It's only
we did
policy.
All the bad things in number 10 and 1 through 10. And now it's 11. We are turning things around. Hallelujah. Where are we going?
We're going to rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. He's got this. These people have the vocabulary of, at best, a sixth grader.
That's being very
Generous.
I was going to say mean to sixth graders.
We're going to rebuild our cities, including Washington. Like, why do you have to make that?
Again, this is the federal government that's coming in to rebuild cities in states. Not the states themselves rebuilding cities, but the federal government is going to come in and say, you know, California, we're rebuilding Los Angeles for you.
Thanks, homie.
How are they going to do that?
But didn't he say that, they were
are
going
they
to
just
stop?
going to kick all the poor people out? And
Well, they said in their like little fine points they're going to stop needless government spending. So isn't this a contradiction?
no,
Why not?
because they don't want it to.
I mean, if he stops GFL from getting all the waste contracts, that'll be amazing.
Yeah.
But again, we're only talking policies. We're not making any. We're trying not to, but it's hard to. But this is stupid. This is like dumb. Number 12, strengthen and modernize our military, making it without question the strongest and most powerful military are powerful in the world. What's the question?
Space Force.
Like legit?
No, Space Force. We are defending space.
No.
We were the first ones to defend
Yeah,
space.
we were. And actually, not a bad idea. But I'm being serious.
Wait, what do you mean that it was already part of the Air Force, though?
No. The Space Force was not a bad idea. That actually, it's not a bad idea.
$1,000 for a plastic button cover? That's insane.
So you think we'll be ready by November?
3, 2,
Shit.
1.
Sorry.
It's actually not. So there's Chinese satellites that are like.
Yeah, no, I know, but my understanding was that all of that stuff was already happening under the purview of the Air Force. That Space Force was just breaking it out into a separate.
That's true. But I think to have the focus, because there's a massive shift to non-terrestrial threats, I think that's actually a good idea. Like that's their only mission, and I think that's.
Do you think he came up with that on his own?
I think he was doing some shrooms, and
No, come on. Somebody brought that to him and said, "Here's an easy one. You can make a new branch of the military.
You're probably right.
We're just going to take it away from the Air Force, so you can even just keep the funding the same." So you don't actually have to spend any more money. And he goes, "No, I want to spend trillions, trillions and trillions. I want it all to be solid gold. We'll call it Trump Force."
I think the capacity to look at different fronts for defense makes sense. Long term,
Yes.
that's going to, yeah.
That's why you don't have the Army, Navy, and Air Force all in the military, right?
Right.
Like, they're
Now
not
Trump.
all-
Now, to be fair, you're probably onto something. Somebody probably gave him the idea because he doesn't understand the idea of service, suckers and losers, the Arlington debacle. I mean, he's a clown.
This was a prepackaged thing that somebody absolutely brought to him.
That makes me want to look into that more. But without question, we have the most powerful military
Already.
on the planet.
Yeah.
We may not have the amount of nukes that would make somebody shiver, but I mean, that's just mutually, like, what's the word?
Assured.
Assured destruction. I just forgot. Like,
Well, and what good are Russia's nukes doing with Ukraine at this point, right? Like, they're not using.
They can't use them on
nukes.
Ukraine. They have to use them on somebody that's actually a threat to them, like a more aggressive threat to them.
I guess. I mean, Ukraine invaded them and then didn't fire it. I just feel
No,
like if
no,
you
I'm
wanted to
saying,
be
like,
nah, fuck you, Ukraine. But
a nuke is good to shoot at the States, or it's good to shoot at South America. It's not good to shoot at your back door.
right.
It's just like, it's not a good look. Man. All right. So that's another just words. Number 13, keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency.
Yeah, because fucking we're not letting anybody else take that shit.
No control of that.
And what are the signs that is shifted significantly in the last 4 years?
None.
There's like
God, these people.
Yeah.
Only if their policies weren't so stupid, I wouldn't have the ammunition.
Right, but I mean, we're on number 13.
And they're just getting...
And we're basically looking at 10 to 12 boogeymen.
Right. None of
things that don't really exist, things that don't really need to be changed or fixed or addressed, at least not in the way that they seem to think it does. Or they want people to think that it does.
Yeah, it's like the stupid commercials they make. It's like, who are you paying to make these commercials? They sound like draconian.
I wish they would pay me, because I would make those same crappy commercials for them for far less money.
Yeah, somebody's getting paid. Number 14, fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age.
Okay, so I will just say, fuck this. This is bullshit again. Because he's not actually committing to any of this.
No.
Right? The GOP is not committing to any of it. They will say this now, and then they'll get elected and say, well, we looked at the numbers, and it turns out that Joe Biden spent more money than we thought he did. And so now, even though, the financial numbers are always fucking transparent as shit. And so now we have to cut Medicare and Medicaid. It's all gone.
Well, yeah, that's a longer conversation, and I don't have the capacity to go into the weirdo shit on that.
You're welcome.
Number 15, cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costly and burdensome regulations. What are we talking about? This is what I mean when I say we don't pivot. Like, we got caught off guard with coal. Mm-hmm. Like, we watched an entire industry just get left behind. Yeah. And Appalachia and some southern states just got railroaded with no economy.
Pun intended.
Literally, yeah. It just, yes. So this is like, it's going that way. It's no different than people getting a stiffy about Bitcoin or AI.
Look at software development,
right?
That's right. Oh, everybody's got to if you get a job, if you get a degree in software development and computer engineering, you are set for life.
Until you get laid off.
You're never going to run out of, oh shit, you mean somebody will do that same job for a fraction of it in another country and I don't have to pay them healthcare or any sort of benefits? Why would I pay you?
Sign me up. That's yes. And we have to get into a habit as a country to pivot. Like, we see the writing on the wall. I mean, it's like, what are we doing? We're going electric. Like, companies have already figured it out. Even though Ford is like, we got to pause. Yeah, that's fine. Inevitably, that's where it's going to be. Or some combustible engine.
The future cannot be combustion engine based.
Right. It ain't going to happen.
Unless just we find that, there's an invisible star, or an invisible asteroid that's been hovering around the planet that just has an endless supply of gas in it, like,
right.
Oil. It's just, that's not, we know that this is a finite resource that took millions of years to create. It's not something that's going to come back overnight. We need to, this is where, like, whether it's electric or hydrogen or whatever sort of,
or solar or wind.
Yeah, like it.
Or mass transit. Stuff. You can do mass transit rails and you eliminate 80% of the traffic that we have.
Yes.
You can do, anyway. Yeah. Number 16, cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children.
I would love to know how much money that would save. Tell me right now the number of schools that are doing that you know for a fact that you could say they are guilty of this. This is following the state of North Carolina passing a law that teachers can't put pictures and stuff up in their rooms anymore because they were worried about somebody putting up a Palestinian flag or an Israeli flag or a picture of an Israeli or Palestinian flag causing some sort of kerfuffle. So they just said, nah, fuck it. You can't put anything in your rooms anymore. Which makes perfect sense.
So unimportant.
And it's funny because to some degree, I feel like some of this kind of pearl clutching started on the left. And now the right is like, oh my gosh, we can clutch our pearls and be upset. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know that the evangelical...
It's not even a policy.
It's not.
It's
not.
like,
No, you're
it's
right.
just,
Then
it's
we're
just
focusing
dumb.
on policy.
Yeah, we're focusing on policy, not the gibberish that comes out of these adults.
Yep.
Number 17, keep men out of women's sports. This is a national problem.
So are we just going to call it woe sports then? That would be keeping the men out of women's sports, right? That was his
I don't
spelling
even
joke.
know what to do with this. I don't even...
Again, I would love to understand the number of people that are being directly affected by this. Because from what I've gleaned from doing my own research, which I'm pretty sure is what I'm supposed to do, right?
God, I hate
do my
that
own
term.
research. But from
So
the
you
time I
Googled?
spend on the internet, this is like... What? There's less than 100 cases, I think, in the whole country right now where this is like an issue
at best.
Yeah, of like
At
transgender people wanting to compete in a female sport.
At best.
At best, 100. Not even, I bet. But let's make it one of our top 20 goals for the GOP for the 2024 election.
So 4 years, this is what we're going to focus on. I would say slim it down to like 3 to 5, but I'll get back to that.
Over the 4 years, you focus on 5 of these each year, and that'll get you all 20 by the time you're done. And if you don't do it, you just change the law so Trump can be president again.
Let's go to number 18 because that's a scary thought. Deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our colleges, campuses safe and patriotic again.
Wait. I feel like there was a conflicting... number 7. Defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech. Wow. It's
So
almost like that would literally be unconstitutional for you to do.
Class, if you're following along, there's a lot of contradictions in what the GOP thinks they should focus on for the next 4 years.
When do you think the last time is that college campuses were quote unquote patriotic?
The 50s?
I mean, fuck, even then, like...
Well, you got to remember then Vietnam started.
Yeah, right? I mean, in the 60s, so yeah. Like, I guess that was, yeah. Which again, right, the 1950s is basically the sweet spot time period that they want to go back to, right? When everybody was going to the hop and we were driving our pink Chevy Cadillacs. And
you married your college or high school sweetheart. You had 2.5 kids, a house with a white picket fence.
Yep.
And there was an apple pie on the windowsill.
Yep.
Well, so
and
much for that.
One homeless person in town would steal it every once in a while.
But he wasn't homeless. He was a hobo.
That's right. He was a bum.
Nope, he was a hobo.
He was a hobo. That's right. He was just passing through town.
Yep, passing through town.
Hitching a ride on the rail.
Every 2 days. So then he was...
Back to town. All right, so we're getting rid of all of these radicals that want to protest shit.
They want to think and have their own opinion. We don't need that here. Number 19, secure our elections.
Just to be very clear, on number 18, I want to go back and Andre and I are not pro-Hamas radicals.
We're not.
I don't think that anybody is really pro-Hamas. I think there are people who are very concerned about what's happening to the Palestinian people who are not members of Hamas.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up because, I mean, we don't love terrorists. I mean, like, we don't need terrorists.
I don't think anybody really does. I mean, except for the terrorists themselves. Like, but even then, I wonder if sometimes, like, you know, the Taliban goes and does something, and ISIS is like, ooh, I don't know, man, that seems in poor taste. You know, like Hamas is sitting there like, I wouldn't have done that.
I mean, yeah.
That'd be a great
Okay, but
SNL
we're not pro
skit.
Hamas. Number 19, secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. What?
So when they say including same-day voting, is that part of what they're securing, or is that what they're going to force everybody to do?
I'm not really sure.
Also, do they not think that paper ballots can be modified?
I mean, people have erasers.
Like you could print another one, right? Like I could have
dumb.
copies of these that are sitting in a warehouse somewhere, and I could be like,
Chris, this is
right.
this
I mean,
is why I can't take them seriously.
Right. Yeah.
Am I just like you?
This is policies, people.
These are
the policies that they are running their entire 2024 GOP election campaign on.
And we're not even playing clips of the dumb things they say on.
Yes. Well, okay. No, you're
but
right.
they'll be here.
They'll be here. We're not playing them now, but they'll be here.
Number 20. Unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success.
Just 1 second. I got to go back to number 19 real quick. Proof of citizenship. What would I need to show it
I don't
to
know.
prove
I'm
that
thinking
I'm a
the
citizen?
same thing.
Right? Like my birth certificate, I got to carry that because I don't even know if I have one of those available right now. Like, is my driver's license, is that proof of citizenship? No.
Probably not.
Because non-citizens can get driver's licenses,
Yep.
right?
I don't know, dude.
I don't have my social security card.
I'm just saying this is their focus for 4 years.
Yep.
This is what they want. And number 20, we made it to number 20. Unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success. What does that mean?
Well, we're going to be doing so good that even the people that don't like the policies are going to be like, at least I'm making that money, yo.
So,
Dollar bills, yo.
Dollar bills, y'all.
it just sounds dumb.
It does.
It's like
This is like an 8th grader was given a writing assignment where they had to come up with, give me 20 ideas that you would run your presidential campaign on if you were to run for president this year.
and put it in all caps.
Well,
so I know you're serious.
Yeah, I don't know why they put it in all caps. I still don't. But what's great is that they did the same thing immediately below in the table of contents. You notice that?
Mm-hmm.
Which also, they talk about the 20 things that they want to focus on, but then the table of contents only has
It's
10.
not 10.
So I
What
guess
the-
10 of those things either were repeats or really weren't that important.
Well, I think both. So let me just read through them real quick.
Yeah.
I don't want to stop on them because
No, I will just let you go through.
They're asinine.
All right, let me
Defeat-
stop you right there.
Number 1, defeat inflation and quickly bring down all prices. Number 2, seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. Copy paste. Oh, but they use punctuation. Okay, so it must be important. Number 3, build the greatest economy in history. Okay, number 4, bring back the American dream and make it affordable again for families, young people, and everyone. Why don't I just put everyone? Number 5, protect American workers and farmers from unfair trade. But you kind of made it worse the first time. Number 6.
To be clear, farmers don't work, so they're not American workers.
Number 6, protect seniors. That's
From
it.
who? Just
Number
literally protect seniors. What the fuck?
It's pretty ominous. Number 7.
It's like, we're coming for you.
Number 7, cultivate great K through 12 schools, leading to great jobs and great lives for young people.
He used great
A lot.
3 times in the same fucking sentence. Again, these people don't own a thesaurus. They couldn't come up with a different term but great. Cultivate great K through 12 schools leading to great jobs and great lives for great young great people. Great. Period. Great.
So easy. Number 8.
Policies.
I can't take this seriously. Number 8, bring common sense to our government and renew the pillars of American civilization. Number 9, government of, by, and for the people. Number 10, return peace through strength. What are we talking? This is so laughable.
And again, right? Like, your basic, like your high school English teacher would read this and go, you use 9 sentences that start with verbs. And then randomly, when you got to number 9, you just went government of, by, and for, not restore the government, not build a government, no fucking verbs, just government. You guys are fucking idiots. Like, I mean,
this is when I say pro. When people say, well, I like his policies. They've been saying that so much. I'm like,
yeah.
What are they talking? What are their policies? And
Government
when I read it,
of, by, and for the people. Policy.
And when I read through this shit, I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's so nondescript. You can't be serious. Like, nobody can. If somebody said, hey, Andre, let's talk about policies. And I would be like, all right, cool. Let me read like what you're talking about. And it's not to disagree, but to support or to, like push back. I can't even get through this shit without going, you're an idiot. Like, this is dumb.
It doesn't seem to be the smartest.
You can't convince me of anything other than this was somebody's like creative writing assignment, which they failed.
So there's 2 things that come to mind. First off, nobody ran this through like Grammarly. Because I feel like Grammarly would have underlined all of the
whole thing.
Well, it would certainly would have gotten like the all caps thing and been like, "Are you sure you want to scream this point at everybody?" Secondly, I keep getting this vision in my head of like Clippy popping up and being like
having a seizure.
Yeah, it looks like you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Would you like some help? Like, do you need me to call professional help for you?
I can think of like 30 or 40 people in a room whiteboarding this out, and somebody's saying, don't forget the former president wants this in here. Somebody had a list.
Protect seniors.
Yeah. Somebody had a list of the things because somebody had to ask him. Because I don't want to say it, but they call him Mr. President, and he's a piece of shit. But somebody had to talk to this clown and ask him what he thought should be in this. Then you got Lara Trump, his daughter-in-law, who's probably got more notes from those psychosis meetings. Mm-hmm. And they all patted themselves in the back and leaned over to their colleague and said, "This is stupid. I hope nobody ever reads this." And said, "Yeah, we got it. We nailed it." And they worked on this for at least 60 days.
So I had to dig in just a little bit because protect our seniors, right? Protects not our seniors, just protect seniors. And it's protect Social Security, strengthen Medicare, support active and healthy living, protect care at home for the elderly. But number 5, protect economic foundations for supporting seniors. Republicans will tackle inflation, unleash American energy, restore economic growth, and secure our borders to preserve Social Security and Medicare funding for the next generation and beyond. How the fuck do any of those things do
They're not
what
connected.
you say it's going to do? And they'll ensure these programs remain solvent long into the future by reversing harmful Democrat policies and unleashing a new economic boom.
It's so easy. It is so easy to be like.
Also, they talk about schools, right? Like, we're going to make great schools through charters.
Oh,
Is that how they're cultivating? What is it? Cultivate great K through 12 schools, leading to great jobs and great lives for great young, great people. Great.
I couldn't even say that with a straight face if I tried to. I just look, man. I have had so many conversations where I get roadblocked because I part of me just wants to say, you're fucking stupid. Like, I get to a point in my brain where I'm like, I should say it, and then I shouldn't say it, but then I want to say it, but then I don't say it.
The problem is, the moment you say it, that it's the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
Right. The end of any meaningful conversation.
Right.
And so I think, like, those of us out there who, maybe we've avoided these conversations in some scenes because it's just like, I don't want to hear you say these things so that I have to tell you how fucking stupid you are. Like,
Right?
What are you? An idiot sandwich.
just let me think that you might not be that dumb, right? What is it? You can keep your mouth closed and let everyone assume you're an idiot, or open it and remove all doubt.
Right. I like that. And so I started reading this. I'm like, wow, this is hilarious. This is hilarious. And it's not. Okay, so if you remember, if you listened this far, you probably listened to the very beginning. I used to have to walk people.
I'm going to do this again. I did it with the last one, where I'm going to cut right before you say, if you've listened this far, and that's going to be the beginning of the next segment.
So I used to have to work with people to have meaningful goals to operate their restaurant. And I am patient with, and I understand that some people don't. You have to learn the skill of setting priorities. You have to learn the skill of setting goals. I understand that. But this is a professional organization. And the organization they're trying to run, hear me out, is the nation of the United States. And this is remedial at best. These are people that are more than likely making six figures.
Yeah.
These are people that probably have lots of degrees. And this is the best they can come up with. Nothing there is really actionable. Nothing there is really plausible. And it's like, the word salad doesn't make me believe. If I was their supervisor, their boss, their manager, their consultant, like, I don't know how you're going to accomplish any of this.
I just, I don't know how you thought this would pass 8th grade English again. Like, I think
I said, did I say 8th or 6th grade?
I don't know, whatever. The point is, what person produces this? Like, you allowed this to be published somewhere. right?
Their argument is that they are looking for low propensity voters.
Right. And so by quote unquote dumbing down their platform, they think that they are speaking to their voters. Right?
No, I think it's even worse than that.
Oh.
They can say, we have our plan written down. You can read it. They do. They have
that's
it.
enough.
That's enough.
Right. Because you're not actually going to read it.
Right.
Or even bother to scroll down to the large all caps list of 20 things they want to do, followed by the all caps list of 10 things they are actually going to do.
I mean, I'm just telling you from my professional experience, for what it's worth, even my personal experience, even even back to my own business, I only try to focus on 3 things. That's it. Because realistically, in 12 months with life happening, you're not going to get more than 3 to 5 things done any given calendar year. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. This year, especially, I spent the last quarter of 23 looking at my business and actually being very honest with myself of like my success in 23 and saying, I need to refocus my business. And then I start 24. You know what happened? Fucking life happened. My dog died. Some other personal stuff happened. And I had to, I've spent the last, what is it? It's August. I spent August just recalibrating. I lost half the year because life happened. So I'll probably get 2 of the 3 things done this year. No, actually I'll get 3 of them done because one of the priorities was to cut my expenses and get a narrow focus on my future product line. And I took some losses. I cut one thing out. And my wife's like, why didn't you tell me about it? I was like, because I just had to make that decision.
Yeah.
So I can start 25 out better than 24. So if you were to give me this and say,
this is my business plan,
I'd say, go fuck yourself. You're going to fail.
Yeah.
You are going to fail. So I struggle with and it's not even a partisan argument. It's just a check on leadership. This is a failure of leadership.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. And I was going to say, any organization that thinks this is the plan to success, God bless you.
Yeah, it is an abdication of leadership. There is no leadership present in this document. There was no leadership in the creation of it. There was no leadership in the review or the publishing or anything that had to go into it. I'm still struggling because it's my marketing brain that I'm reading this and I'm like, but who do you think is reading this and going, yeah. And I guess you're right. It is some of the low propensity voters that they're, but again, I feel like what this is really trying to preach to is kind of that core MAGA base, right?
They're not reading this.
Right. And they're already voting for Trump. You don't have to. That's what I don't get. That's what I don't get with the JD Vance pick, right? That feels like a MAGA. Yeah, we like JD Vance. He doesn't like women. We don't like women. And to some degree, I mean, the tech bros, right, in Silicon Valley.
I think this is the first time
venture capitalists and.
This is the first time in my lifetime I can remember a vice president being so important to an election.
So when all of this first started, that first week after Vance got selected, I texted the group and I said, worst vice presidential pick since Eagleton. And that's obviously well before my lifetime, but I know that story because I had read Hunter S. Thompson's Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail 76, which is one of my favorite books. And it talked about that whole 1976 presidential campaign. And McGovern choosing Eagleton, and then all of the stuff about his depression and the shock therapy coming out, and him like Eagleton not wanting to drop out, and it was just this huge drag on the uplift that McGovern had, and then Nixon just totally wiped the floor with him when it came to, and that's, I mean, seriously, when's the last time that you've seen a worse debut kind of this first, month basically since the RNC for JD Vance and the Trump campaign? I mean, it's been just downright awful. I think
I'm gonna hang my hat on the fact that he got lucky in 2016, and it's the writing on the wall. Like I saw a clip that he put a retruth of Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris, and somebody put it in the caption, "It's funny how a blowjob can change your career," right? And I'm like, yo, this is what we're doing? Like, I mean,
if it was a picture of Monica Lewinsky, I think you could, like, that's kind of a funny joke, right?
I think it's, I don't even think it's funny. I think that, like, if you want to be president, and it goes back to character. Like, I can disagree with you on policy, but if if what you're trying to institute for the next 4 years, or let's take politics out of it. No. I have disagreed with people that I've reported to, and but I have confidence and I respect their decision to make, because they know things I don't know, and they have some insight, and they haven't shit the bed up until that point. But I can still disagree about the direction or how we get there, but I can agree on the direction, and that's okay. That's just general leadership. That's just general, like, reportee to supervisor, leader of the team, whatever. That's normal. But to be willy-nilly and just like haphazard about everything you do, I can't respect that. I'm in the wrong organization. It's like, yo, I don't belong here. No. So, and to make these type of, and I say some pretty raw things to people. Like, if somebody says something stupid in public, I'm like, well, that's pretty stupid. Like, there's no way around that. Like, well, why don't you agree with me? I think that's stupid. Here's why. Or I think that's not well thought out. Here's why. I look at a president in the same light, fuck his title or her title, but do your job. Yeah. And the flailing and the desperation of trying to stay relevant is getting to Trump. Like, you're going to say, like, bro, you got like 2 daughters. Like, that's what you think about your kids?
Well, he's already said that he'd fuck one of them.
Said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
Stop it! Oh, it's so weird. Stop it. You know what? You are sick.
By the way, your daughter.
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
She looks more voluptuous than ever.
She's actually always been very voluptuous. She's tall. She's almost 6 feet tall.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
Yeah, I'm good on all that. And if you vote for him, like, I question your, like, I question you just in general. Like, it's just like, I have no way. It's like not personal. It's just
I have a lot of questions.
I mean, it's just like, yo, that's weird, yo.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's not personal. But it's just like, if
it begs the question,
right? Thanks for checking out the Chris and Andre Show. Remember, unlike yourself in middle school, those like and subscribe buttons aren't going to hit themselves. And be sure to leave a comment with your favorite part of the show or a topic you'd like us to cover in the future. As always, stay salty.